Okay, so now we're going to take our warp thread and we're going to weave a base to just get everything level and set for our weaving to be able to pack in. Because if we started at the bottom, there's too much of a space here. It's just nice to start a little bit above and you're avoiding all these knots. So what I've done is I've already pre-cut this, but you would measure 4 times across your loom. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you can see I've given myself a little extra, and that's just because we're going to be tying the ends off. So you want some extra space for that. I'm going to get started by taking this around the left side of the loom, tying a knot. You don't want to tie it too close because you want to be able to stick scissors in and cut that off later. So 1 knot, and then I'll just do 2 to secure it. You can see that's not going anywhere. So now I'm going to take the warp and I'm going to weave it in between. So I'm going to go under the guide. That's our extra warp thread on each side. Those are our guides. So we're going to go under that, over, under, over, and picking the back warp up, going under, and then the front warp pushing down, going over, under, and over, under, over, under, just all the way till we hit the end. Okay, and you don't have to do all this at once, I'm just showing you so it makes sense. So I've done all of that. I'm going to now take my warp thread through and pull it so it's taut. You can see that I've woven that through. And I can push that down a little bit now if I want to, or just say stay above your knots. So then we're going to take it over the right side of our loom and then around towards the back. That's just keeping it in place. You can see this is going over that last warp thread. So instead of going over it, I'm going to go under. So now that we're in the open shed, we can go to the top of our loom, and right where that copper loom part is at the top, just stick your finger through there, pull it all the way down. That's called the open shed. So all I have to do is pull my warp thread through that. All right, so now I'm going to take my beater and I'm just going to pack that down. We'll get to spacing later, but just kind of getting that ready to go. Go around the left side of the loom, front to back, pulling that around. All right, so we've done a full pass of warp thread. Now we're going to do our second full pass. So left to right being a half pass, right to left being another half pass. So, oh, and I missed my guide. You can see that that's loose there and it should be tacked down. So I'm just gonna undo that and I'm gonna go back and cover it. So see, I'm under here and then I'm over on that last one. So then I'm going to go around the left side of my loom. And we're going to work on that second full pass. So because I went over that, I'm going to go under it this time. over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and so on until we get the end on the right side. And you want to make sure while you're doing this that your warps aren't crossing at all or twisting around, like, so that they're all in place and not like, you know, this one's over here or whatever. All right. So, like before, we're going to wrap this around the right side, over and then under. And you want this to be level at the end when we get to the end, just to keep the bottom of your weaving in place and level itself. So like before, we were in the open shed going right to left. So we're going to go to the top of our loom, right where the copper loom goes between the two warps. Pull that all the way down because we're in the open shed now. And then I can take this warp thread and just pull that through there. And then we can beat that down. And remember last time, it's going to be the same issue with that guide. So I'm going to go over that last one because sometimes the guides aren't correctly in the shed or out of the shed. All right, so now we're going to pull this as tight as we can. On the first row, pull away from the knot on the left side. Second pass towards it, and then away from it, and then towards it. And that should get you pretty taut there. So then we can just tie this off on this side. So I'm going to do one knot here. And then I'm just going to do my second knot around all of these. It'll help keep them all together. And our warp threads are pretty taut. We're good.